Russia and Saudi Arabia, two of the world's biggest oil producers, are each making a bet that they are better placed than the other to bear the pain of the oil price war that they set off over the past week, and that they can get what they want as a result. That raises two big questions: are they able to stand the pain? And what exactly do they want? On 5 March 2020, Saudi Arabia and other big OPEC countries and Russia gathered in Vienna to plan production cuts that could put a floor under falling prices due to the outbreak of coronavirus. Crude was trading at more than $50 a barrel. That's when Moscow decided to blow up a 3-year-old pact to manage global oil supplies, refusing to sign on to Saudi Arabia's proposed cuts, sending the price of oil sharply down. Riyadh responded not with unilateral cuts of its own but in the opposite direction. It slashed selling prices for its oil and later announced plans to massively increase oil output, further driving down the price of oil that was already plunging due to the disease outbreak and its toll on the global economy. Oil trades today around $33 a barrel. For Russia and Saudi Arabia, both more or less dependent on oil sales to fund their national budgets, it was, and still is, a dangerous game of chicken. Russia figured that it could afford to walk away from its informal cooperation with Saudi Arabia and other OPEC countries, even if that meant crashing the price of oil, for a few simple reasons. First, it has tucked lots of money away in the years since the last oil price crash, giving it a big financial cushion. Second, the biggest losers in any oil price war, Russia figures, will be high-cost U.S. shale producers. Driving the price down would both inflict economic harm on the United States and undermine its ability to wield its favorite tool of international coercion, sanctions. Russia is better positioned to survive this crisis, said Sofia Donets, the chief Russia economist at Renaissance Capital and a former senior Russian central bank office. It will be tough, but they have enough resources to pull through. Russia has spent the last 5 years tightening its budget and building up $550 billion in reserves that officials say will let it cope with oil prices between $25 and $30 a barrel for up to a decade, if need be. On March 16, 2020, Russia's finance ministry said that it would draw from its $150 billion National Wealth Fund in order to supplement the budget even if oil prices stay low. If crude sells for an average of $27 a barrel, it was in the low $30s most of this week. Russia would need to draw $20 billion a year from the fund to balance the budget. That war chest is the result of Moscow's decision to restructure its economy after it was pushed into recession in 2015, following the last big 1-2 punch of Western sanctions over the annexation of Crimea and OPEC's decision to open the spigots the year before. While efforts to diversify away from hydrocarbons have largely fallen flat, Moscow has emphasized stability over growth in recent years, and in many ways it is now in a better position to weather the current shock than it was the last time around. There is one problem, though: Russian President Vladimir Putin needs to spend more. Putin rode the oil boom of the early 2000s to a strong economy and huge popularity, but that's a harder act to maintain when oil prices plummet. With economic growth a focal point of Putin's current presidential term, and with his time in office now possibly extending until 2036, big increases in infrastructure investment and social spending are central to his future and key to promises to help turn around long stagnant living standards. Lowered incomes and austerity have been the source of his falling popularity and a key factor behind a January government reshuffle that saw Dmitry Medvedev pushed out as prime minister. Before oil prices collapsed, the government planned to tap the Wealth Fund to help drive a slew of projects central to its growth agenda. But a prolonged oil price war could force them to go back to the drawing board.